Good morning, class. How's it going? Hope everything is fine. Doing well. So welcome to class 12 English. This is Sir Manish Vijay. Welcomes you all. How the study is going on, dear? Superb. Fantastic. That's great. So have you completed the question answers of the last chapter, which was taught in the previous class? Yes. Yeah, that was chapter number 5, Indigo, by Louis Fisher. We completed that chapter in the previous lecture, and we discussed some of the question answers too, which were quite important in the exams, and I hope you have done all the question answers in your homework notebook and not facing any doubts, and you are doing your homework on the time. So well and good. Let's start a new chapter today. Today we are going to study the fourth poetry of your book, that is A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. So take out your books, Flamingo. Open page number 98, and the poetry is A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. So before letting you know about the poetry, let's talk about the poet first. Then we will discuss what is the poetry about, what is the theme itself. Then we will discuss the name also afterwards. First, let's have some knowledge about the poet. Poet is John Keats, very famous. He was a British romantic poet. Now when you read the word romantic, what do you think? What kind of poet is this? Romantic poet. Romantic poet is that sort of poet who deals with emotions, feelings, sentiments, and imagination. Romantic poets used to write those sort of poetry which were full of these feelings, emotions, and imaginations. They were not the believer of neoclassical era. There was an era before this era, Romanticism, the era of neoclassical era. So you better not to know more about it. No issues with this. Just to know about romantic poet. Romantic poet means they write the poetries which are full of emotions, sentiments, and imagination. So the poetry which we are going to study, A Thing of Beauty, also follows the same laws, rules of romantic poetry. And these poets, they are in love with nature. They have a different perception of nature. They look the nature in a different way, their beauty, and they deal with it in their own sense. And the poetries are there to develop the aesthetic sense of yours. Getting it? To understand the beauty of nature. So the poetry we are going to study will have some knowledge about this later on. Let's see about John Keats. Although trained to be a surgeon, he was a surgeon, Keats decided to devote himself wholly to poetry. He wanted to become a completely a poet, not anything. Keats' secret, his power to sway and delight the readers, lies primarily in his gift of perceiving the world and living his moods and aspirations in terms of language. Now, what is the secret behind his poetry? What is the secret behind his power to sway and delight the reader? Is that he had a gift for perceiving the nature and the moods of the nature in a different manner. He was able to understand the moods of the nature and he lived them. Okay, nature also had some mood, angry, happy, joy, different sort of. The following is an excerpt. Underline, please. Now we are going to read about the poetry. Please take pencil in your hand, underline it. The following is an excerpt from his poem Endymion, a poetic romance. The poetry which we are going to read today, it is an excerpt from his poem, that is Endymion, a poetic romance. Now, what is the story of that poetry, Endymion? Let's have some knowledge about that. Endymion is a beautiful young shepherd. Endymion is the main character of this poetry, who is a beautiful young shepherd and poet too, who lived in Mount Latmus, okay, and had a vision of Cynthia. He saw Cynthia. Cynthia, who was Cynthia? The moon goddess. Cynthia was a moon goddess and he had a vision of that moon goddess. And as he had a vision, he got enchanted, attracted, fascinated by the beauty of Cynthia, and he fell in love with her. The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out. The attracted youth decided to seek her out, to find her out, and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. So he roamed all over the universe, okay, through the forest, down under the sea, everywhere in search of that beautiful moon goddess Cynthia, because he wanted to see her again. So this is the basic story, basic tale of this poetry, Endymion, a quite poetic romance, and we are going to read the excerpt taken from this poetry. The chapter which we are going to read is A Thing of Beauty. So when we see the title itself, it tells you everything about the poetry. The poetry is all about beauty, the thing which is beautiful. If I ask you to name me some things which are beautiful according to you, I don't think everybody would give me the same names. Maybe they are the names which are same, but to maximum of you will name the different things. Because the world is full of all sort of things. All sort of things. Beautiful or ugly. I don't call anybody ugly because there is a saying in English. Beauty is in the eyes of beholders. Beauty is in the eyes of beholders. खूबसूरती देखने वालों की आंखों में होती है. So everything in this world is beautiful for one or the other person. You can name any song. You can say that place is so beautiful. Somebody will tell about the high mountains, lofty peaks, deep valleys, trees, oceans, seas. So different places will be told by you, different things will be told by you, right? Even the persons could be told by you. So different persons, different opinions, different visions, different perceptions of the beauty, right? So this chapter is about a thing of beauty. Now what is that thing which is beautiful according to the poet? Let's see. So before we read, there's a question which is asked to us. Let's see. What pleasure does a beautiful thing give us? What pleasure? It soothes you. It just relaxes you. It makes you forget your all the pain, sorrow, sadness. It removes your hopelessness. So many things can be there. Are beautiful things worth treasuring? Are they very precious? Just like treasure. Yes, of course. Beautiful things are really, we can say, gift of God to us. If we don't have the thing of beauty, it would be hard to survive in this world. Because it can be anything. It can be a song, beautiful song by Arijit Singh. It can be a movie. It can be a bike ride. Right? It can be a visit to any place. Whatever you feel like. Beautiful. So, this is the question. Now let's see what is the poetry about. Let's have an introduction. In this poetry, the poet is talking about a thing of beauty. It can be anything. It can be the beautiful things like sun, moon, earth, trees, valleys, mountains. I told you it can be a song, movie, anything. And according to poet, the beauty is never faded away. It lasts forever in your memories. It relaxes you. It gives you good health, good sleep. It keeps all the problems away from you. It makes you happy in the moments of sadness, sorrow, pain. It removes all the curtains from you of these gloomy days. Right? Because sukh or dukh are the two sides of a single coin. Right? So, in happy days, we are always happy. But in sad days, these beautiful things help us to be happy. Isn't it? So let's see what is the poetry. Before explaining you, I will recite the poetry. I would like you to listen to it with complete attention and to enjoy the beauty of this poetry. This poetry is full of images. Imagery is there because it is the poetry of John Keats, and he was a great artist of imagery. So you will really enjoy if you have the understanding to understand the poetries. Just listen to it. Keep your eyes closed, keep your ears opened, and try to listen and try. Even if you are not able to understand the whole poetry, just have the essence of the poetry. Fine? Let me recite. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and asleep, full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, in spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways. Made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, such the sun The moon, trees old and young, is sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils. With the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make. Against the hot season, the mid forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. We have imagined for the mighty dad, or lovely tales that we have heard or read. An endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens brink. Now you can open your eyes. I hope you have enjoyed the poetry, the recitation. Now I want you all to read this poetry once. I want you to read it right now. I will wait for 2 minutes. I will be silent for 2 minutes. And I want you all to read the poetry. Please read it. For your sake, for the sake of learning. Please read it and try to understand it. I will give the explanation after a minute. So, I hope you all have read. Right? So we can proceed further. Let's have the explanation of first stanza. First stanza is of first 5 lines. Keep a pencil with you to write the meanings of the hard words if there is any. And after the explanation, we will discuss the poetic device of that stanza. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep, full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. These are the 5 lines in the first stanza. So in this stanza, there is only a single word which is new for you. That is the second word of the 4th line, bower. B-O-W-E-R, bower. Underline it. Write the meaning. A shady, S-H-A-D-Y, a shady place under a tree. A shady place under a tree. That's the meaning of this. Now what the poet wants to say. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. If we talk about a thing of beauty, it can be anything. As we discussed, anything, whatever you feel like that is beautiful in front of you, gives a joy forever. Whatever beautiful thing we have, we see, that provides us long-lasting joy. Its beauty never fades away. It lasts forever. Beautiful thing is always beautiful. Its loveliness increases with the passage of time. Its loveliness increases. It is never decreased. It will never pass into nothingness. That beauty is never faded. It is always in our mind, in our heart, and we never forget that beautiful thing. If you have heard, let's take an example of a song. If you have heard, listened a beautiful song, so you would enjoy that song forever. The memory, the beauty, the essence of that song will last in your brains, in your heart forever. It will never be zero, right? Because it has a wonderful feeling for you. Understand? But will keep a bower quiet for us. But that beautiful thing will be just like a shady place under a tree, which is so quiet, so calm. When you are tired, when you walk under sun for a long time and you want to have a rest, so you just go under a shady tree and just sleep in the calmness of that tree, shade of that tree. Similarly, whenever you are tired, when you want to relax, you just listen to that music and it soothes you. It calms you down, right? And a sleep full of sweet dreams, and that helps you in bringing a sound sleep full of sweet dreams. It relaxes you. You can sleep under that shade by listening to that music, and that brings you good health, because when you are happy, you will be healthy. When there is no stress in your mind, no sadness, no sorrow in your life, you will be happy forever. So you would be healthy. Happiness is the other form of healthiness. And quiet breathing. You are relaxed. Okay? There is a breath of peace, quietness, calmness, relaxation. So, beautiful thing helps us in achieving these things like good sleep, health, happiness, quiet breathe. Got it? I hope the stanza is clear. Therefore, on every morrow, are we wrathing? Sorry, I did not explain you the poetic devices of that stanza. Let me explain you the poetic devices first, then we'll move to the next stanza. You can see in this stanza, in the fourth line, bower quiet. It is the comparison. Beautiful things are compared to the shady place under the tree, which is full of quietness. So that is hidden comparison. We have not used as or like to compare the shade of a tree with a thing of beauty. We have just compared it to the bower quiet. That is metaphor. metaphor, metaphor. Clear? Next is, you can see alliteration is there. You can find the repetition is also there. First, let's talk about repetition, then talk about alliteration. And health, and quiet, and. That is your repetition. You can see. Alright. Yes. These are there. If we talk about the rhyme scheme, what is the rhyme scheme in the first stanza? Can you tell me? Can you find the rhyme scheme? Yes, the rhyme scheme is there. You can see the last word of each line: forever, never, are, a, keep, sleep, be, and breathing, new sound, C. A, B, C. These are the rhyming words, forever, never, and the rhyming scheme is A, B, C. Clear? Yes. So let's go to the next stanza. Therefore, on every morrow, are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. You would be thinking why I am reading all these lines, because you can see the full stop is there only. Earlier, the full stop was after breathing, that's why that was first stanza. Now the full stop is after spirits, so I can call it second stanza. A complete sentence. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lines are one single sentence. So meaning, morrow. Morrow means following day. You can write, morrow means following day. Wrathing. Wrathing means surrounded or encircling. Surrounded or encircling. Despondence, sadness, hopelessness. Gloomy, sad days. Gloomy, sad days. And in the stanza, last second line, pall. Pall means you can write a dark cloud of gloom and sadness. You can write a dark cloud of gloom and sadness. So what is this stanza about? Let's see. I'm explaining you in a detailed form, so there will be no doubts left to you. If there would be, we will discuss the doubts afterwards. Let's see what is there. Therefore, on every morrow, the poet wants to say that is the only reason. What is the reason? Because a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It never fades away. It always soothes you, brings you peace, relaxes you. So that is the only reason every coming day, every next day, every following day, are we wrathing? We are surrounded by, we are encircled by a flowery band to bind us to the earth. By these beautiful things, just like the different flowers that are wrapped together in a single string, and we make a garland. जैसे बहुत सारे फूल एक माला में पिरोए जाते हैं, just like that, different beautiful things of this world, they are just put together and wreathed together in a single string, right? And bind us to the earth. And those beautiful things just enchant us, fascinate us. We are bound together with them and we get connected to the earth. We don't want to lose them. They bind us to the earth. These things help us to attach with the earth. In spite of despondence, in spite of sadness, sorrow, or despair, hopelessness, of the inhuman dirt, inhuman activities, deeds, action, this world is full of evil things, cruel people, inhuman activities, sadness, sorrow. So in spite of all these sadness, sorrow, these cruel people, humanity, so in spite of all these sadness, cruel activities, inhuman dearth of noble natures of the gloomy days. Okay, this nature is hurt by these cruel activities, and all, after all, in spite of all these sad days, all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, all the unhealthy ways or cruel ways which are used by the people, okay, making us sad, making us full of sadness, sorrow, made for our searching. We can just search ourselves when we are we are in pain, we are in sorrow. So we can search ourselves on this world. Yes, in spite of all these things, there are some shape of beauty on this earth which moves away the pall uh, pall from our dark spirits. There are so many beautiful things on this earth which removes all these dark clouds, curtains of sadness, gloomy days from our spirit, from us, and make us happy. Means this world is full of struggles, hardships, cruel things, cruel activities, violence. And so many times when we live in this earth, we become sad, upset. We want to overcome. When we are completely tired of these things, we are frustrated, we are depressed, full of sorrow, full of sadness. So we can search. We want to run from this world. We want an escape. Right? For relaxing ourselves, in spite of all these sadness and pain, sorrow, we can find relaxation, and these shapes of beauty help us to be relaxed, to be happy, to be glad, understanding. So this is this meaning of this stanza. So what is the poetic device in this stanza? You can see in two consecutive lines, of is used in the beginning. The lines are starting with of. When the same words are used to repeat, when the same words are repeated in different lines, we call that anaphora. These are the anaphora. Fine. Next is alliteration. You can see some shape, SS, alliteration. There is you can see in line, are we wreathing a flowery band? All the words are not in the proper order of a sentence. We are wreathing should be there, but it is are we wreathing. We call this inversion. When the proper order is not followed. Inversion. And after reading, you can feel there is an imagery too in this line, in this stanza, imagery. You can form so many images in your mind, how the things are helping us in wreathing the flowery band. And there is metaphor too. Like, wreathing a flowery band. So these beautiful things are compared to the flowery band, which are helping us to bind ourselves to the earth. I hope it is clear. We'll have the next part of this poetry in the next class. I will repeat this last stanza again to make you understand it more clearly. I know it is a little bit tough, but I will help you to understand. That's all of my side. Thank you for listening to me.